Million Depth is a roguelike developed by Cyberspace Biotope, a developer who hasn't made anything else to my knowledge. I don't really know how to explain it, but this game has a certain charm to its aesthetic that I only really see out of low-budget Japanese indie games, which certainly caught my eye. I didn't really know anything else going in, and my expectations were just whelmed by it. Million Depth follows the story of Moma, a human who escaped space when the Earth became uninhabitable to live on. After her entire crew dies to a mysterious disease, Moma decides to find her pen pal in the last surviving Earth colonies made 1,000,000 kilometers underground, the titular Million Depth. To assist in this, Moma packs a ring she can control remotely that she can attach scraps of metal she finds to make a makeshift weapon, as well as her own invention, the Biotope Jammer, which prevents time from moving when she isn't. As such, combat in this game takes place as a 2D superhot of sorts, where you dodge that barrage of incoming enemy attacks while striking back with gadgets of your own. And unfortunately, this gameplay loop is where my first issue comes into play. Building your weapons is really fun for the first few runs. You make some funny doohickey, you experiment a bit, and then you realize the build diversity in this game is pretty awful. There's some cool options like guns and explosives you can build, but at worst they're gimmicks which the game actively punishes you for using, and even at best, the opportunity cost is pathetic. Anything that requires more effort than pushing your attack stats sky high probably takes too much effort to be worth it, and you'll never see it unless you force it. I didn't unlock every build in my playthrough, partially because of how long it takes to unlock everything, but the ones I saw were all really sad. I think a lot of them were unorthodox builds would have had a lot more time to shine if the game wasn't a roguelike, and you could put in the work to make the other builds better and experiment more. Or, if they did a better job of diversifying the scenarios and gave you better stuff to build around. It just feels, unfortunately, they felt they need to make a roguelike when a lot of their ideas were geared more towards a longer experience where you could spend more time experimenting with builds you love. And speaking of the scenarios, they're another aspect of the game that I think was made with the roguelike out of necessity. Despite feeling like it should work pretty well for one, the game is split into 3 timelines: Alpha, Beta, and Gamma. Each timeline is connected to the others, and decisions you make in one can affect the others. Like, there's this robot building a rocket, and if you leave him alone, his design is rough and doesn't work very well. But if you give him advice, when you see him later, he'll have made a functioning rocket. As cool as this sounds, there are 2 major issues with this system. The first is that these decisions aren't impactful enough. For some of them, there's an obviously correct choice that provides you a benefit in future runs. There's no trade-off for taking a different route, it's just an illusion of choice. For others, the change means basically nothing. There are 3 endings in the Alpha timeline, but basically nothing aside from a little dialogue changes. You still fight the same boss the same way every time. They even tease this cool ending where Moma goes mad with power and becomes the villain, but there's no route where this can actually happen. The second problem, partially related, is that to be able to change a choice, you must unlock all choices on a full hour-long run and hope you run into the event you need. It seems like you're always guaranteed to be offered the events, but you can miss them, and if you do, you have to do it all over again. It just takes way too long to change one thing that has zero bearing on the story. If the time spent on the roguelike elements was instead spent on tuning this into a really interesting branching path narrative, I think it would have been a lot better. Despite all this negativity, it doesn't come from a place of hatred, simply disappointment. The combat, while easy, is really unique, the music is incredible, the pixel art is good, there's a lot to love here, but it doesn't feel like a game that actually wants to commit to being a roguelike. With the push for longer games, I understand the need to make a game with a lot of replay value to it, if only to pad out the length of things, but I really wish they would have committed to either telling Moma's story of loss and rediscovery, or creating a satisfying roguelike with a lot more diversity, because right now, it unfortunately left me wanting to give a little bit more on both fronts.